Wow. It's been 5 years since my very first upload. It's been a long time coming, and this video is going to be pretty important. So first, since it's been 5 years, how are you guys doing out there? It's been a long time. It's been a very long time. I did not plan for it to take this long to finally do a video, but I've finally gotten to the point where I definitely need to make this video to kind of let you guys know what's up and what am I actually up to, if I'm alive or whatever. And spoilers, I'm alive. I'm not dead. I've just been dead off this channel, that's all. And I think it's time to kind of go into explaining why I was gone for so long, what was going on during that period, and we'll just go into other parts, because this video is ultimately talking about Frontier, my game development project that I was doing on this channel, and how I am going to be showing you guys more of it. And I want to direct you guys to the new social media for it, because it's come a long way right now, a very long way, but it's still being developed, and I still want you guys to be a part of it. And that's why I made this video, because any of my old subscribers who know me, you're going to be greatly surprised by what's happened with the game. Let's kind of go into explaining why I was gone and what was happening during that period. So, what was I doing around that 5-year span? Around the time of the goodbye video and a while after that period, I had finally came to the conclusion that Blender can't support my game. All of the work I had put in was essentially for nothing. I could not go beyond a certain point with the engine, and there was too many problems, and so I had realized I wasted a lot of time, and that kind of put me into a really sad state, and I was really defeated for about 6 months, and it was a pretty kind of annoying time, and I just felt really angry and I felt really defeated around that time period. So I kind of mentally checked out and kind of gave up on Frontier completely. I wasn't planning on going back to it at all around that period. But then we moved past those 6 months, and I got a resurgence of creative power and the feeling that this isn't something I should give up on. And from there, a lot of things were changing. So the one thing to note is what gave me that reassurance and that resurgence of creativity was because I had loaded up Blender and I had played what I had created, and I went in and I did the customization, and after that I went ahead and gave my player a name, and then I went and loaded into the other file, and I had went and was just playing around, walking around, running on walls, crouching, swimming in the water, going into the vehicles and driving them, looking at the weather changes, the day and night cycle, just immersing myself in what I had created. And I think that was the time, after 6 months of not doing any programming, and I came back and I said, this is so fun in a concept. This is actually really fun. There is so much that could be done with this, but I had given up. And that single day is why I'm here now making this video. And I'm gonna talk about pretty much what I did past that. So past that 6-month period of not really feeling good and not feeling creative, and I got that resurgence, that was, I felt like, was all I ever needed to move forward. And what I did was I went into Unity. I was really like trying to look for another engine, and I settled on Unity. And I settled on Unity because it's programming code based, and it's not about all this UI, it's not about this node system, it's not about logic bricks, it's not about that, it's about hard code, which is the easiest to do and to manipulate when you are a solo developer, because I can easily add a lot of stuff through code easier than I could do through logic bricks. So I went ahead and I learned Unity, and it took me 1 month to get an idea of how the whole engine worked. It took me 1 other month to do a small singular project to get my feet wet working with the systems, understanding how C# worked and all those other things. And from there, with 2 months of work in the engine, I was already on my way to getting Frontier into the game, into the Unity game engine at least. So what did I do? Well, I'm gonna explain briefly. I would like to explain further with one thing though. I do have a more in-depth video about how this period was for me in great detail on my other channel that I will plug at the end of this video. So yeah, keep listening. So around this time period, after I had did the 2 months, I had started really going to Frontier, and my first goal was to do one thing: replicate the game point by point. And obviously nothing from Blender other than the models and animations could port it over Unity. Obviously the code wouldn't work between both the engines, so I had to recode everything. So what I did was I did a 1-to-1 ratio. I said to myself, everything that exists in my game in Blender must be ported over 1-to-1 into Unity, code, mechanics, and all. And through months of work, I had every single thing that existed in Blender, except for weather and except for day-night time cycles, say for those two things, were all in there. Because again, those two things didn't really matter to the game at that point. So all of the mechanics were in the game, and I had, from there, I was super happy. I had understood Unity enough to do it, but obviously my code wasn't the best. It worked, it wasn't the best. Now it's a completely different story. But before, I didn't have the best coding practices because I was moving into a brand new engine, brand new code, a coding language, programming language, and all those kinds of things. So that had its own hurdles. Moving past that, I went ahead and did so many different iterations. So from there, I started to change how Frontier was. Frontier, moving into Unity, was no longer a minimum fan idea game. Frontier is something completely unique and different from every aspect. It is not minimum. And that was the big thing that I had tried to make sure of, is that this game has now gained its own identity that doesn't exist at all within the framework of another game, of another project. It is solely me from all angles, and it's changed the game, it's made wonders. And currently, what I was doing around this time period through the 5 years was just working and evolving the game structure so that I could build a solid foundation, and that is building an FPS setup, building movement and physics, building an FPS camera, working into vehicles, getting in and out of vehicles, buying things. That's something that you can do in the game right now. There's a lot of different things that is done, and all this stuff was done through the 5 years. Now, I'm kind of explaining the old stuff. I haven't explained the new stuff. So, I would like to really show you guys the amount of work I've put into Frontier. Welcome everyone to Frontier in 2019 in Unity. So, there is a lot of stuff to talk about and to get into. However, this is not the video to go into incredible depth and to go into extreme detail. What this is showing you the visuals to show you the overall quality increase and what Frontier is currently and how it will be moving into the future. And I'd like to point out that there's a lot of mechanics that will be changing. So before I go into the mechanic changes, I'll just be briefly going over the visuals. So the first thing to note is that there is a clear art style that I'm going for, and it is minimalism. And this is the new official character. And yes, he does have his own race. This is a Figan, which is like a human in this world. That's kind of like the word for human in my universe. And essentially, Figan, this is a specific race called the Bixen race. And this is the only race in the game and the only gender currently right now. There will be female genders, obviously. That's just not in right now. But I just wanted to show you, this is the new model that I'll be going with. He has a lot more personality because he has a face, and the face can be animated. Each little points to make him look angry and happy, all that stuff. But I just wanted to show you guys the model. And another thing I wanted to show you is the fact that the art style, other than just minimalism and looking hard and blocky and voxel a little bit, not voxel, but I guess you could say pointed, flat, that's the kind of idea, the flat parts of the models. This is the overall shapes that I'm going for, and the shading type is toon shading. So I'm going for a minimalist toon, so you can see how the shadows are reacting from the light. You can see how on this rotating character, you can see how the light bends and how it fakes shadows on the colors, giving you that toon shaded vibe. And that's the overall art style and shading that I'm trying to be going for with a lot of these things. Same with vehicles. We'll talk about the vehicles. I'm pretty sure you're like, what the heck? They're so different. Yep, they're very different. That's because Frontier's different now. On top of that too, I think you guys remember something interesting. Does anyone here remember, for those who remember about the channel, you guys remember the armor system I was talking about? And shells? Well, this is the very first official shell in the entire game. Yes. And he spawns this guy. Again, I'm not going to go into the mechanics. Mechanics change so dramatically that your minds would be blown if I really went and explained it. But we don't have the time for that. I'm just going to make this, brief. This is the Nista. It's the first shell in the game that I recently completed. And as you guys can kind of see, it's a pretty unique looking armor set. And it's got some really special things about it. There's a lot of special effects it can do. And one of the effects it can do, its signature, is that it can spawn this guy. And it can spawn this guy that wields this great sword. That is also a crystal sword that stores energy in its crystals. And it fires out sword beams like in The Legend of Zelda. And you can see there's cool little vines that I put on it with some leaves. You can see the handle, the bezel, all of that. You see the glowing and the post-processing effects, the bloom, the shadowing. So again, all this stuff can be upgraded and look a little bit better, but you can consider everything here final models. That's something to note. Let's see. We have this, which is called the Shrike. It is a sailboat vehicle that hovers over the ground. And all these stuff, by the way, guys, is rigged, so all of these parts can be animated. The head is rigged, so it can be animated and moving around and all these kinds of things. The sail, I currently disabled cloth physics. It did have that, but I disabled it. I'll eventually re-enable that, but I'm just showing you guys. Let's see. We have the Arteaga, which is an ice-based vehicle. Oh, if I didn't note it, I didn't tell you guys, this is an electric-based vehicle. I won't go into what it actually does in combat. I'm just going to explain the general stuff. This is an ice-based vehicle with ice attacks. It's the Arteaga, and you can see it's a one-seater. You can see how it looks. You can kind of see the art style, how it's simplistic, and the toon shading. We have the Fendra, which is a dragon vehicle, which looks really cool that you can ride. You can see how you would sit on it from a third-person point of view. You can see the little feathers, the tail, all the other stuff. You can also notice that a lot of these are redesigns of the old vehicles. The Tempest, which is this kind of floral, wind-like vehicle. Also, I didn't explain what this thing does. This is like shadow and fire looking attacks. Again, I won't go into what it does, but obviously the mouth opens, it's got eyes and horns there. It's not alive, but that's just the model design. Same for this isn't alive, obviously. Got all the little parts, you can sit on it, and all that stuff. Don't mind his foot going through the floor, don't mind that. And yeah, this is wind and nature kind of abilities that this thing would have. And then we got a big boy ship. So this thing is huge. You can actually physically walk into the ship in this build, this standalone build that I've made. But yeah, there's some things going on inside. There's places where you'll be able to sit. And that's kind of all the things that's visually here. The gun that I'm holding is invisible right now, and so is the arms. There is a shooting mechanic. I'll go into the mechanics now. You can obviously walk. I'm doing it right now. You can crouch. You can run, and then hit crouch to slide in one direction, like that. See that? I slid right under that. On top of that, of course, guys, you can still wall sprint. Of course. Wall sprinting feels so much better in Unity than it did in Blender. So you kind of see, I'm running on the walls now, and you kind of see how that works. It works really good. You did see me fly, because I have a jetpack on right now. On the armor, I'm not wearing this particular armor. I'm doing a lot of systems changes, so don't worry about that kind of stuff. You can siphon. That's something that's new, but because we don't have any armor, we don't have our first person perspective on right now, you won't see the hands, but if I were to, let me cast an ability. I'm gonna cast a 4 ability. Actually no, it's fine, let's do 3. So 3 casts a big wall. I won't go into again, this stuff, which is Espa abilities, which is Espa skills, or you can just call them skills. We won't go into these skill abilities, but they do have a resource that they are on. So I'll do a bunch of these, and you can wall sprint on them too. And if I press F, I'll regain it back. So that's a siphoning mechanic. I'm just showing you guys mechanics. Even if you guys don't know what they mean or do, I'm just showing you that there's a lot of differences, and there's a lot of crazy things that I'm going to be explaining to you guys in my channel, my new channel that I have. And I want you guys to go ahead and join. But I will say, obviously, you can fire, and you can see some damage numbers. So, some bullet holes. Oh, I'm reloading. There we go. Some bullet holes. But yeah, you guys can kind of see that stuff are in place, and there's still a lot more work needed to be done. But this is what I have currently in the game, and this is how much Frontier has evolved. Let's do one last thing. I never showed you any of these working vehicles. So right now, I just like to point out one thing. These are vehicles that are just models right now. They will be put with programming soon, just not right now. So I'm gonna open up the item shop. So we have mods and we have vehicles. I'm gonna cheat in a bunch of poly real quick. You can see that's the poly there. So I'm gonna go to, I like to go to mods. I just show you guys you can increase your stuff there. You guys can kind of get an idea of what I mean by Frontier has changed. It's changed a lot. And next, I kind of want to explain what my new social media is. Let's talk about it. So, it's time to talk about the most important part of this video, along with the game, is the social media. This is my newest YouTube channel. It's not as new. As you can see, my first videos was 10 months ago. So, I've had this channel for 10 months, not a year yet. And I've just been putting videos as I was doing updates on them and things like that, and a lot of these things were just to show people what I'm working on. I don't have a ton of views, but I'm hoping that again as I go back in and I make more consistent videos, this will happen. So the thing that I wanted to explain to you guys is that Hero Dev is the new name that I am going by on the Frontier game. I can finally be directly referred to as Hero Dev for anything that is dealing with Frontier. So, and this, I would like to point out, this goes and coincides with all other social media currently. I have a Twitter and I have a Reddit. And again, before I go into everything else, let me just explain what each one does and how many that are relevant that you need to follow. So for the YouTube channel, this will focus on gameplay showing. This will focus on updates. It will focus on alerting you all of important things, and it will also be the channel where I just kind of get my feelings out there on the game, on all the different aspects of it, with lore videos, with storyline stuff, with models, with beta releases and early access and tests. All that stuff will definitely be centered around YouTube. And on top of that, YouTube is also going to serve as a way of getting feedback. It's going to be probably one of my biggest feedback social media. So if you want to have an active voice in the development, then I would definitely highly urge you to join and subscribe to Hero Dev here on YouTube. So I have another thing. I have my Twitter, which is HeroDev @PlayFrontier. So this is my Twitter. I highly urge everyone to follow my Twitter, because my Twitter is the most active social media that I have, and it's what I use the most actually, because I do these releases like this image here, and I did this before explaining or making any video. This is how things will usually go. Twitter will usually get the earliest updates, and then YouTube will take longer, but I'll have more details in it and I'll explain thoroughly, because Twitter you can't really explain thoroughly because the character limit. So that's what this is for, and I like to point out that you get to see a lot of the in-progress things. You won't see in-progress work much in YouTube. You'll see finished product stuff. But in Twitter, you're gonna see the step-by-step kind of like updates, asking you guys questions. You see this is a weapon that I made, the very first new official weapon in the game, the Vignis. You can see the Shrike. You see all the different vehicles and some of these effects that I was working on that goes in with their abilities. Here you can see inside the vehicle that I was talking about, the ship in game. Kind of see all the different compartments, how it looks like. You can actually sit down for the cockpit here. You can see the little parts. Okay, yeah, here's more cockpit images. How it looks when you sit down in the chair. So yeah, you guys can see what I'm talking about with all of this stuff, and how important this is for you guys to join these and follow me on all of these different social medias, because you're getting information that you won't get in others. So that's why this is important. Now, there's one other too that's brand new, is Reddit. Reddit, I currently don't have anything, but I just recently made this about a day or two ago from this video. So this is important to follow, because I'm going to be kind of just be making blogs here, and I'll be obviously trying to talk to other people here and other developers, get to find out about other indie development communities, all on Reddit. So if you want to follow me, I highly recommend you follow me here. And these are my three main ones. Now there's two others to talk about real quick. We have the new Discord that's coming, and I would like to pull up Discord really quickly, but I'll do that last. There's one other thing I want to talk about too, and that's IndieDB. I want to say that IndieDB has been discontinued, and I won't be posting anymore there. Reddit is taking the place of IndieDB. It's much better to be seen here than IndieDB, so that's when they let you guys know. You don't have to follow it. Just worry about Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, and then Discord. So let's load up Discord. Okay, so here we are on Discord. So right now this Discord here is not quite ready, but I'm working on it with all the different things here. And when this is open, I will do a big kind of social media wide promotion of this Discord, because this is quite possibly maybe the most, I'd say the most important, if not equally most important, next to YouTube and Twitter, because this is the best way to personally speak to me and have a conversation. Here you're going to learn about all the deeper details that maybe I don't say in other videos full information will be always on Discord, because I can put everything in specific channels and have everything ready for everyone to use. So if anyone here is interested, please stay alert so that you can get notified of when this Discord is ready to be used and completed. So again, this is very important, and will be doing a lot of really cool stuff on this Discord, and I'll be involving you guys as a community all together so I can build a community and we all have a place to be and we can all talk with each other and all have our input heard and everyone's thoughts and opinions valued in a way where I can realistically get and read and see all of them. Please guys, make sure to check out the description of this video where all of my social media for Frontier are there. I highly urge again you follow and subscribe to each and every one of them because they are very important, because this is where you're going to get all the information, and if you're interested in Frontier and you want to see how it's moving and you're interested to hear about the storyline and all these other things, then please follow all of these. It would help me a ton, and it would help the development a lot. You guys can get access to free tests of the game and some other stuff at a certain point. So if you guys are interested in testing this game and you want to do maybe even content creation for it, we can talk about that kind of stuff in the Discord or on some stuff on YouTube or maybe a little bit on Twitter. But yeah, the majority of the player interaction to developer will be in Discord, the most. So please do check the description to join all of those things. And before I end off this video that was well overdue, I want to thank each and every one of you for subscribing to this old cringy channel, because you guys were really awesome. Even though I didn't have like thousands of subscribers or millions like many other channels do, I still think that the one thing my channel did have that a lot of those other channels don't have is a community that is so supportive and wasn't at all toxic. I don't think I remember a single person that was toxic during the years that I was on my YouTube channel. Like, I want to thank you guys because you guys are amazing. And I also want to thank all of the people that I've met through the channel that I know personally that are my friends even right now. I want to thank each and every one of them because it was so awesome to meet and talk to people around that time, because I never thought I would ever meet all these really cool people that wound up becoming a really good friend, and I still talk with a lot of these people. So for any of those people, and they already know me, I'm already in contact with them, so they already know, if you're not subscribed to any of these or followed, and you're interested, go ahead and follow the social media in the description. And this probably will actually be the true final video of ArisingHero's channel. I'd also like to point out that I won't delete the channel. I'm gonna just leave it up, and yeah, just let you guys know. And just for old time's sake, don't forget to be a hero.